For the few of you who know me just from my channel, you probably know I'm a teenage Zimbabwean, that I make videos, and that my name is Kenny Bewood. The videos I make are fun, but don't have that much of a sense of storytelling. This is because storytelling through attractive imagery and cuts on par with the music can't seem to tell enough of a story. But I'm fine with that, normally. Thanks, Joey. You see, today I want to tell you a story the way a story should be told. I want to tell you my story, so far. Okay, let's begin. My name is Kenton Blythewood. I'm an 18-year-old who's just finished school and I'm on my sort of gap year. Well, it's a gap 9 months. I grew up loving fishing, loving hunting, loving playing sports, particularly tennis, and loving the family trips we would always go on. As most sim oaks do, really. Oh, and loving Halo. When I was a kid, my brother and I would sit and play the last mission of Halo 1 on the original Xbox all the time. Anyways, I grew up pretty much hating school and never really tried. All my reports would say things like could do better and not applying himself. But at that age, I didn't really care. I just wanted to have a good time with my mates. At the age of 8 or 9, my best friend at the time, Nick, and I discovered motocross and fell in love with it. The first bike I had was a Yamaha PW80, and from then on we both raced 65s and then 85s. Through my love of motocross and supercross, I discovered a role model who is still one of my greatest inspirations. Ryan Villapoto.
Ryan Villapoto grabs the lead in the last turn of a 30-minute and 2-lap battle with Ryan Dungey.
His incredible skill, confidence under pressure, and all the work he put into it, all based on this idea he seemed to live by.
I'm not going to put myself at risk. I'm not going to put the work in that I'm doing and going out there and getting those type of finishes.
But then, at the end of my first year of high school, I stopped riding, and to be honest, I can't fully remember why. I think the sport got too intense, but it just as easily could have been me getting into other things. Anyway, motocross had a bigger effect on my life than meets the eye, and I'll tell you why. In my days of riding, I would always watch motocross montage videos. But then I got to a point where I said, screw it, I'll make my own montage video on iMovie on my iPad. I made quite a few, and eventually got the gist of basic video editing. Then came Form 2 at school. I still didn't really care for school, but I remember failing a ridiculously easy chemistry test that made my dad send me to a tutor. She went over the test with me and I realized just how easy it actually was. If I just studied, I would have passed. I started focusing on my tennis more and disregarding other sports, and in 2015 I made the first team tennis squad and the Zimbabwe national team. I had finally accomplished a goal I had set for myself. I also played for a club called BTA, which my friend's cousin started up. His name is Nathan. He becomes more important to the story later. At a similar time, I realized that if I want to do the things I love for the rest of my life, I need to make cash, and that school was the road to doing that. Look, I don't think that's entirely true now, but I'm glad I thought that at the time, because that combined with the chemistry realization gave me motivation to actually give a shit about my education. I started paying attention and just doing the work. And that led me to the personal discovery that I actually love learning about the cosmos and I'm pretty decent at science. Well, not biology. I hate biology. But math, physics and chemistry became a passion of mine, and through that passion, I became good at the subjects. I fully realized what Villapoto's story was trying to communicate to me all those years ago. If you put in the work, you'll get the results. You have to get through the grind. At the age of 14, my life was just school in the week, Halo nights, and some fishing or spearfishing on the weekends. But then one day I was scrolling on Facebook and saw this. My brother and his good friend Judd had released a video and it got almost 30,000 views. This jump-started the creator in me. I realized all I needed to do was pick up a camera and film. I'd learned the basics of video editing years ago. I immediately called one of my best mates, Scott, and asked him if we could use his GoPro to make videos. And from then on, it all escalated. I started making videos with just a GoPro, but eventually got a Canon EOS 80D. And now, years later, I've finally got a drone. I'd always known of YouTube, but ever since I started uploading my videos there, I discovered creators like Casey Neistat, Ben Brown, Chris Stuckman, Brody Moss, and Dan Mace. All these creators making incredible and unique content. Through these creators, I discovered one of my main passions in life, filmmaking. I started watching films all the time, from dialogue-driven Tarantino to ambiguous Kubrick, from Nolan's intensity to Anderson's quaintness. By the time I was 16, I had purpose. At the end of 2016, I wrote my IGCSE or O-level exams. Through hard work, I got some pretty good results, but now I could finally focus on the subjects I wanted to as I moved on to doing A-levels. At the same time, I started going out drinking with my mates and going to parties. In 2017 and 2018, I would work and play tennis in the week and party with my mates on the weekend, watching films and going on trips in between. Oh, and still playing Halo. And a bit of volleyball. I was also best man at my brother's wedding. Hold on a minute. Let me talk about my brother for a second. My brother is the person in my life who's most hard on me. He's constantly on my case and shits on me all the time.
Wake up, chum. We're on the farm. We don't sleep in here.
It's not at 7 a.m.
We are on the farm. We don't sleep in here.
Even though this creates a love-hate relationship, I think being pushed by him has shaped me into who I am today. And I think it's strengthened my character. Now, back to the end of school. I had what will always be some of the best times of my life with my mates. We just enjoyed and had a great time. At this point, I realized just how important friendship is and just how much I'm going to miss all my mates when we go our separate ways. In my last year at school, I managed to become valedictorian as well as becoming a school prefect, which is a pretty awesome thing in Zimbabwe. Oh, and I also stood up for my gay English teacher and school tennis coach, Dr. Holvermeyer. That didn't go too well. Throughout my teenage years, I was always a very anxious and obsessive-compulsive person. But in 2018, I discovered Stoicism, a philosophy that really helped me be much less anxious and more calm. I read a book written by one of the greatest Stoics of all time and eventually discovered that he suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. Seneca. Through this, as well as subsequent viewings of Fight Club, anxiety played much less of a role in my life. At the end of 2018, I wrote my A-levels, but by this time, my motivation wasn't what it used to be. I worked hard for my exams, but it seemed to be much more of a grind than it was before. My anxiety was very low, but that also led me to not really care for school anymore. At least, nowhere near the amount I used to. I had arguments with teachers and just seemed to have a resentment for school. I'm guessing a lot of people go through that phase. But purpose was drifting away from me. After my exams, I spent the rest of November and December enjoying with my mates as much as I could before we all split. And since my gap year started, I've been fortunate enough to go on trips to Cape Town, Europe, and now Mozambique, and even spend time on my brother's farm. But when I was home in between those trips, life was a lot more tedious and just empty. Most of my friends weren't around anymore, and I got into a state of doing nothing. I had lost all purpose. Let me intercut here. In the beginning of the year when I was in Europe, I woke up one morning to the revelation that I'd achieved exactly what I wanted to achieve in school when my mum sent me this photo of my results. Later that day I had some of the best snowboarding I've ever had. It was a top 10 day for sure. I remember taking this video for one of my best friends, Liam, who also loves snowboarding. Liam bro, the powder. I can't. This is what I live for, bro. This is crazy. However, as happy as I was with my results and the way things were going, I still didn't have purpose in my life anymore. But at that time I was in Europe, so it didn't really affect me. I would snowboard and enjoy every day and not even think about the future. Which is good. You should always live in the present. But you shouldn't disregard the future completely. You should ensure that you've at least planned for it. So when I got back to Zim, I soon realized how demotivated I was, and that carried on for a while. I mean, I still had my passions and loved exploring them, but I wasn't being productive and felt as if life was getting more and more monotonous. But that's when Nathan stepped in.
Hey, how's it, Kent? Long time, buddy. Yeah, we should definitely catch up.
Nathan and I met the next day. He talked to me about all the lessons he's learned in life, all the things he's experienced, and ultimately his advice to me. He encouraged me to regain a sense of direction. He reminded me that in order to carry on doing what you love and aspire to, those passions which really nurture the soul, you need to have structure in your life which motivates you towards achieving those goals. He reminded me that yes, when you're young you need to enjoy as much as you can and do what you love, but you also need to be as productive as possible and do things that will help you in the long run so you can always do what you love. Exercise, keeping your body in shape, maybe reading or playing some tennis, doing some sort of work every day. No more sitting around procrastinating, falling into the trap of idleness. Of course I'm not going to stop going out with my mates or taking the odd day off here and there, but overall I'm going to make the most of the days that lie ahead of me. This will be the course of direction I intend to pursue from now until I start the next phase in my life. But no matter what phase of my life I'm in, I will always challenge myself to be productive and to become a better person. So this has been my life so far, and I hope that you can take at least something from my journey up to this point. Thank you for watching, and remember, if you don't have purpose right now, you will find it.